Hey guys, I just wanted to do another comments on the comments video for the new Man of God, the Cord documentary. It has been released on like 6 or 7 different platforms now. And where it's getting the most traction is, of course, on YouTube. And there's a YouTube channel called Stash Documentaries. And it is blowing up on there. We have over 100,000 views on that channel, and the comment section is going crazy over there. So I just want to read a couple of these comments. Well, quite a few of the comments, and then we'll just talk about them and give you my comments on the comment section. This will surely rile up the sodomites, feminists, false preacher, weak pastors, and worldly Christians against red hot preachers like the new IFB preachers. Yeah. They first went to a transgender. Then, at the end of this dishonored Jimenez Speaks, now they repackaged it. And the stories are even more than before. Come on now. 50 years ago, people would have just rolled their eyes. Spoiled modern children hate old world correction, it seems. This is one of the talking points. And it seems they're even more than before. So are you saying that there's new stuff in this new documentary than before? I mean, what does that mean? Are you saying there's new information presented in this documentary? I thought that wasn't allowed to be said. I'm not a fan of trying to shut down Pastor Anderson's ministry or to stop him from preaching. You're going against the hand of God to try to do something like this. However, this is such a crazy comment. However, this documentary is so well done. Paul Whitmer makes the best documentaries hands down. Well, I appreciate that. And you know what? This is something I've really struggled with. Should I make this documentary? But you know what? Christianity isn't to blame for any of this. Anderson is to blame for all of this. And so that is one of the main reasons I'm making this film, is to really just encourage people to not blame Christianity for this. Blame Steven Anderson. And so, yeah, I appreciate that comment. Paul Whitmer makes the best documentaries hands down. I love to hear that. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. McMurtry, what about your children? This is not a comment you hear very often, and this guy probably doesn't even know McMurtry very well because his children are all normal kids that love God, that go to church. And so his mom replied, stupid comment. Tell me you know nothing about my kids without telling me you know nothing about my kids. That's great. Thank you for the excellent piece of work. I can't wait for the rest of the episodes. If you don't rule your household well and have children expose your wicked deeds, shouldn't that disqualify someone as a pastor? But it seems scripture is being twisted and turned to enable individuals to remain in authority. So thank you for this excellent piece of work. I appreciate that. I'm very proud of this documentary. And I know once you guys see my full vision of the 5 episodes, I really feel like you guys are going to completely understand why I decided to make it, why I decided to invest so much time and energy into it. Why I decided to burn every documentary I made with Anderson to the ground. I believe this needs to be stated. And you know what? There's no better person to do it than me. I can't even imagine someone else being able to make this film because I had the unique opportunity to get all of these sermons in high quality long time ago. And, I have kept all this footage and from day one. So episode 2, where is episode 2? Well, episode 2 is going to be coming in about a month and a half. I've sent it off to Post Sound. They're on finishing up another project right now. So unfortunately they couldn't start right away. So it might be a month and a half away, but it's out of my hands at this point. It's in Post Sound. When they get it done, they get it done. I will give you an update once I know a firm date, and we'll release it that way. But if you did donate, you will get a link as soon as I get it done. So we're going to announce a release date, but if I have it before that release date, you'll get to see it immediately if you have donated. And if they scourge with cords back in the day, you can bet it wasn't a 12 gauge extension cord. That's for sure. When the Bible talks about beating with cords, it wasn't referring to extension cords. That's for sure. What an abuse of power. Poor children. Are the other children still in the home safe? That's a very good question. I do believe they're probably safe. Anderson would be a fool to continue this behavior with so many eyes on him right now. Man, I think this guy is the one I listen to when I stop believing in the pre-trib rapture. Yes, probably. After the tribulation did make a lot of headway. Thank God the children have the courage to speak out and to confirm what many knew from the outside. God bless them. You know, I don't think many knew. I think, a lot of his haters assumed that was going on, but I think a lot of his, supporters, they did not believe this was happening. And I know I had no indication that this was happening. I did see some odd things, maybe some over the top statements were made to me a couple of times, but it was nothing like red alert. Like you just like to think the best in people. And I always found him to be genuine. This man is wicked, and the men defending him sound just as ridiculous. Why aren't the adult kids talking about mom? She has to be complicit in some way. Well, I purposefully left out all the conversations about the mom. As you'll see, episode 2, we talk about the mom. We get into the mom. We get into the marriage. We get into what the kids say happened in the spousal discipline. Episode 3, we're going to learn all about the mom. So why aren't the kids talking about the mom? They do. They will. Episode 3, you can look out for that. I've never heard of this guy. What a monster. It's disturbing. There is comments defending this guy and calling him righteous. It is very disturbing. Anyone that would comment and defend him. This guy's a heretic. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far as to call him a heretic. That's pretty aggressive. He was awful on camera. What do you mean he is worse behind closed doors? Yeah, I think that was kind of the thought on most people's heads. Anyone who could speak of their own children that way clearly reveals how little love they really have in their heart. I can't even imagine saying any of these things about my children publicly, to your church, to people who watch your kids grow up. I have no idea why anyone would listen to any of the pastors that appeared on screen. I don't either. So basically, Pastor Anderson was a good dad, and his kids are whining, sniveling, backstabbing idiots. Nothing in here is even remotely abuse. Well, you might be the only people saying that. Your kids are like the prodigal son, and they are still wallowing in the mud. You could tell they were lying just from the look of them. I mean, again, this is just so ridiculous to say just because of the way they look, they're lying. Okay, wouldn't you say, hey, why do they look this way if you're supposedly ruling your house well? Almost every Christian circle has denounced this dude. He's so off the rails. It's scary. That's true. I'm a proud, fundamental KJV, Bible-believing Christian. It's sad to see the state of pride this man is in. I mean, pride is probably the number one problem in Steven Anderson. I mean, why he can't admit that, okay, you don't agree with, maybe you didn't mean to hurt them sometimes, but you could see it from their perspective, apologize for the things that they felt. Wittenberger, yup. I have no idea what that even means. This pastor needs jail time. I agree. And you know what? He still might get jail time. You never know. I can tell by Steven Anderson's mannerisms, the way he speaks, that he has a severe anger issues I agree you should spank your children, but as a Christian, you need to be merciful too. And that is the key. I believe in spanking. I have 8 children. I have a ton of children myself. I know you have to spank your kids. I'm not against spanking. This series is not against spanking in any way, shape, or form, but we are against abuse. And so that's what we're talking about. Anderson is a freaking moron. He has nothing to do with Christianity over than making it look insane. And that's, again, why I want to make this film. So people clearly know that this is not Christianity. This is Anderson. Gee, I wonder what the truth is. LOL. People, pastors, and churches like this made it hard for me to return to church. Again, this is not what I want the takeaway to be. The takeaway to a lot of people that are leaving the NIFB is they don't want anything to do with God anymore. And so that's why I'm trying to, and you'll see this in later episodes, why there's going to be a big push that, like, look, this is not God. This is not Christianity. This is just a weird sect of people who are acting this way and are treating people this way. This is not Christianity. The church I go to now is amazing. It's nothing like this. My kids are amazing. They obey me, are respectful, and always receive compliments on their behavior. Why is that? Is it because I have loved them and taught them to love God? These are my fruits. Why does Pastor Anderson's children speak of him in this manner? Where there is smoke, there is fire, and these are Pastor Anderson's fruit to know him by. So many of these clips are taken out of context and have the stupid dramatic music all over it. This film is dishonest and the producers know it. Not one of these clips have been taken out of context. Even Pastor Anderson himself posted all the clips of the preaching and said, oh, this is great preaching. This is not out of context. The pastors in the New IFB movement don't even claim these are taken out of context. This is what they believe. Not out of context at all. It says something when all your kids turn on you. Definitely. You know, and I wouldn't even be, if one kid turned on, one kid went and got all these tattoos, and one kid hated his dad when he got out. I mean, look, I went through a rebellious phase as well. That's not why we're going after him. I guarantee all these children will disown him when they come of age. And you know what? That is a fear I have. And it will happen if he doesn't get this pride under control. If he doesn't admit to anything wrong, of course, he's just going to continue doing this. Steven Anderson only has children to exalt his ego. It's sad, but episode 3 goes into this a lot. The psychological abuse that happened in the home, which I believe episode 4. Episode 4 will be the most impactful episode of the entire series. I agree. Brother Tavener in the UK, Brother Zong in India, New Life Baptist Australia, Very Baptist Manila. These are men of God preaching the right gospel. Okay, all these people support Anderson. I didn't lump them in. None of them, as far as I know, has come out publicly against him. So until they publicly come out against him, they're with him. They support him. And so they're going to be called out just with him. Zong has publicly defended Anderson, as has Stuckey. Don't know about the other two, but Tavener has his own set of problems. If they are defending Anderson at this point, they have chosen their position. Amen. And that's my stance as well. Imagine a child beater that wasn't a pastor, but was doing this much bragging about his heinous abuse. Would he be protected and allowed to do it? I don't know why CPS isn't taking this seriously. I feel like this movie will help kind of present the information to authorities in a way that they can look at. LOL, you make a big deal of putting each kid on a lie detector at the beginning of the film. And when they are answering questions, none of them are attached to a lie detector. Are you guys stupid? Um, I don't think you realize how a lie detector works. There's pre-interview questions that take place. A lie detector, they don't just ask. I don't know if you've ever seen Dr. Phil or any of these. When they ask a question, it's like one or two pointed questions. It's not every detail of the abuse. One or two pointed questions that they ask, and the whole pre-test. There's a way to do it. You guys need to learn a little bit about a lie detector and why I didn't show the results. Well, there's 5 episodes. I'm not going to give away the results in episode 1. Obviously, those are going to come in episode 5 at the end. This is the part 1 of the series. So yeah, I mean, my sentiments exactly. He's a man who thinks he's never wrong, no humility. God help him and his family. Anderson has never apologized for anything. I believe that is in this episode 2 or 3, where the kids say they've never heard him apologize for anything. This is definitely a pride issue. If I had the time machine as far as parenting, I'd go back yesterday. Exactly. I would too. I've spanked my children too hard. You know, I'm not, I don't think, I've made mistakes with my children for sure. I've made mistakes with my children. I regret things I've done. I would go back in time and fix it, but Anderson would not fix a thing because he's perfect at his parenting, clearly, because his top 4 children hate him. What a disgrace for the name of Christ. Yeah, it is. It really is. You should have called the police if you were truly being abused, for sure. Okay, you got to understand, these are homeschool kids. They have no friends outside of the church. They have no electronic devices. Or how are they going to call the police? And you know what? You don't really realize how abused you were when you're in the situation. Hindsight's 2020 for sure. Proof spanking only works in certain situations on certain kids, very, very rarely. And I agree with this. Sometimes you can't just spank them, and just expect it to end. You have to explain why they're getting spanking. You have to get the love. The love aspect of the spanking is key to spanking. I am not someone to seek advice from for parenting. I haven't shown that I have kids that faithfully do anything. So but I've even realized in my oldest son, like, you can't just spank him for everything, because he just, you don't want to provoke your children to wrath. They don't understand sometimes why they're getting spanked. So it's best to explain to them what they're doing wrong, have some love. Since when did a rod become a double looped industrial electrical cord? Yeah, it's a very good question. I have 10 kids, and if you don't, as a father, do what this pastor did to his kids, then you end up with a home full of entitled jerks. I do not believe that's true. Again, the love aspect is what you need. Isn't this the same guy who filmed the Book of Revelation that came out years ago with Anderson as a preacher? Yes. Yes. Yep. That is me. As a dad of 3 boys, 1, 4, and 7, I'm all for whooping aspects of parenting except for the 1-year-old at the moment. If this man did what the kids say he did, he's dead wrong and full of pride, not admit how wrong he was. Amen. Again, I'm for spanking. I'm not for abuse. Thank you for making this documentary and for giving a voice to these brave young adults. I can only imagine what these children went through and what the remaining children living in home are going through. This pastor is clearly off the rails, out of his mind mad, and has serious anger issues with this uncontrolled rage. He shouldn't be allowed near a pulpit ever again. By his conduct, it's clear that he's not biblically qualified, yada, yada, yada. Amen to all of that. 10 minutes in, I'm speechless already. I think that's what most people think. When they see this, they're like, what in the world? Looks like the devil won on both sides here. At 7:50, narrator says Steven Anderson was funny. Not even close. He's dangerous and a false teacher. Yeah, I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. He's funny when you like him. He's definitely not funny. He doesn't come across as funny to me anymore. I know most people, there's like a switch that flips. Once you realize he's not a good guy, the things he says are not funny anymore. I have a feeling that 250,000 is a little bit of an exaggeration. That's referring to when he talks about how many souls he won to Christ. Yeah, 250,000 is definitely an exaggeration. You can't take those souls he's won to Christ, but 250,000, really? Okay. It's funny that they claim 250,000 when literally everyone who's ever supported him over the years turns out to be a reprobate, in their mind. So it's like, okay, so everyone that's supporting you's turned out to be a reprobate. What about, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of people saved. I'm not talking against that, but like, let's be real here. It's too obvious these kids are bitter at their dad and conspired to destroy him. Yeah, right. You should have had Solomon go to the doctor and get looked at. Even get an ultrasound for that area. Okay. Yeah, you want me to get Solomon to a doctor. These kids are literally impossible to organize anything with. So you want me to get him a doctor? Okay, let's have you get on a phone call with them. Let's start there. How about you get on an email thread with them? You want me to set up a doctor's appointment for them. It's a miracle I got what I got with those kids. They're not very chatty Cathys, let's just say that to people. It's a cult. I would agree. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole comment. I find this whole thing sad and pathetic because this is the kind of thing that gives Christianity and Christians a bad name. I agree. I'm so sick of this being looked over. We need to put this dude in prison. Let him receive prison justice. What a true coward. Yep, I agree. People need to contact the police department and tell them about this movie. See if you can get them to do anything. I cannot even wrap my mind around being so afraid that I would call my oldest son to come save me from my husband. Yeah. This is absolutely disturbing to watch. The cops need to be called on CPS if they don't get the remaining kids out of that horror. Come on. I mean, this testimony is evidence. The kid's testimony is evidence. Clicked off this nonsense video as soon as they showed the lie detector test. You can't expect people to take you seriously when you start the video off like that, as if it's supposed to give you some validation. All right, look. Lie detector tests are not the end-all be-all for truth. I'm not claiming that. I don't think anyone claims that. I mean, lie detectors are not even admissible in court. The reason I'm doing the lie detector test is just because that was brought up. Hey, why don't you have them do a lie detector test? I'm like, okay, let's do that. Why not? So I was able to get 2 of the 4 kids to do a lie detector test. We'll see what the results are in episode 5. And I do think it does booster their credibility. I think they're 100% credible as is, but I mean, it definitely gives credence. And the guy that we had administer the lie detector test is a former FBI trained lie detector guy. He did it for like 25. He did lie detectors for the FBI for like 25 years. Something like that. I have to look up his exact qualifications again. It's been a while since I looked at him. But he's like the most qualified person I could have had do this. And that was a God thing that we even got this guy to agree to doing this. So why is Pastor Anderson still breathing? He should be in prison. Inmates aren't typically very kind to child abusers. And there's so many comments, guys. I'm sorry. This is going to go on for a while. There's so many comments. We are only 4 days into these comments. There's so many comments. Shame on the adult congregation. They enabled him. It was obvious that this was to anyone with an ounce of discernment. Yeah, it's obvious. The people that are in that congregation, they all know that he abuses children at this point. They all know it, and they are just supporting it. This guy's has some problems, but no one should expect any pastor or priest to be perfect. The church has made up of imperfect people. Okay, that's a weird comment. Good on these kids for going public. This must be hard on them. Amazing intro, then AI voice. And this is a comment throughout all of them. No one really liked the AI voice. I didn't really like it either, but that's what I could afford. And so, if you're listening to this and you want the AI voice to go away, support the film so we can hire a real professional to do the narration. If I get a donor to help me with the new narrator, I'll even re-release episode 1 with the new narration. I really want a new narrator, but that's what I can afford right now, and so that's what we are doing. And that it is what it is. Is he not in prison? No, he's not. I can't believe the authorities have arrested this. I can't believe the authorities have arrested this guy and charged him with child abuse. Haven't. I think he meant. I can't believe. Yeah. This man does not represent Christianity. I'm so sorry for the children. I hope and pray that they'll reject this man's God. Again, not what we want. Not what we want. That's why I'm making this movie. I never understood how he got so much attention. His congregation looks really small. He's a nobody, but the media likes to scare people. Look, he wasn't a nobody. He is becoming that now. And I'm not, that comment doesn't mean I'm somebody, but he's definitely has way less of a pull now than he did 5 years ago. 5 years ago. I think 2020 really hurt his credibility, and he's gone downhill since then. When does the next one become available? The next one's going to be available, like I said, in about a month and a half. That's kind of where we're looking. I wish it was sooner, but it's just going to be what it is. So the documentary is anti-God, even at the surface level. Again, this is so dishonest of a comment. Is not anti-God. That is absurd. It's sad and hard to believe anyone would want to attend this church or listen to this nonsense. Disgusting. I stand with Steven Anderson. Yay. Okay. You and 3,000 other people. That's literally all he has left. He hates gays, yet at 7:33, there he is sitting with Jesse Lee. Now, I've heard that. Is Jesse Lee gay? I don't remember. I think I've heard that, but I don't know if that's a rumor or if he used to be and is not gay anymore. I don't know. Steven Anderson is a first-class nut. My dad whipped me as a kid and as a teen. I thought he overdid it, and he had admitted and apologized when I got grown. Yeah, my dad hit me pretty hard, spanked me pretty hard, and he's actually apologized to me in the last, after seeing the first episode of Man of God, he apologized to me like I was, and I was like, Dad, you did nothing wrong. I deserved every spanking I got, and I deserved much more. But my dad was nowhere close to Anderson. This is stupid. Polygraph machines are BS. Yeah, this is stupid. And it says, maybe in an isolated case it can be dismissed, but when you have 4 people saying the same thing and they all pass the polygraph, yeah. So if all 4 pass the polygraph, yeah, well, Only two. We had two do it. The most poignant statement of the whole documentary is your mental delusions are as smart as you. Yeah. Well, listening to the voice is traumatic. I can't imagine being traumatized at home and church by him. Wicked and unsettling, to put it mildly. Yeah, his voice drives me crazy too. No, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you don't like someone. You don't like their voice. And of course, no charge were laid against him for child abuse. I pray all of his children find safety and healing and find a spiritual family who will build. And you know what? That's my hope too, is that these kids find a good church to go to. They don't get away from God, or they don't blame God for how their dad acted. But it's hard, when you grow up in a home that's all you know, and everyone you know that is associated with Christianity acts that way. Man, I really hope they don't leave God as well. And of course, no charges were laid against him for the child abuse. This documentary is questionable. In the first 3 minutes of the doc, you already find a glaring inconsistency. You guys are crazy. There's no inconsistencies. Had to stop it for a bit. Just wow. It disgusts me. The term persecution is being applied. If not mistaken, David Koresh and Jim Jones to claimed. Yeah. Is part 2 available? Please. It's coming, guys. It's coming. It is sobering to see Paul direct this film after all the work he did with Anderson in the past. Yeah, and this wasn't an easy thing for me to do. I'm still struggling with everything in my own head. I just feel like it's the right thing for me to do. I feel like this is a way to recompense what I've done, and it's a way for me to separate myself from Anderson as well. And I can, move on with my life. After this series is done, I'm moving on. I'm done talking about the guy. I'm done listening to the guy. I'm moving on with my life. I'm going to be a voice for these children, and then I'm moving on. It's terrible and very sad. My heart breaks watching this. If only Steven Anderson and all of his followers knew Christ Jesus said, "Let the little children come unto me." He was a gentle shepherd. Amen. As a Christian, I think the accusations are true. I can see the man preacher demeanor in his aggressive speaking style is all mostly in the flesh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can hear him preach and the kids are telling the truth. Once you see the way, and I've seen many cases of him going psycho on someone. Pastor McMurtry brought up in his last video how Anderson, when he brought the pastors out to do statement analysis class, I was actually at that class. And yes, he went crazy on the guy and threw him out. And it was like, whoa, bro, like, whoa, totally psycho. And then even crazier, I was once at the airport with Anderson. We were flying somewhere, and some lady, I don't even remember what she did, nothing aggressive. He just started screaming at this random lady in the airport. And, everyone's quiet, and it's a packed place. He just starts screaming at this lady in the airport. And everyone's like, what in the world? I'm like, I can't even look at him. I'm just looking down at my phone, just trying to sink into my chair and I'm not with this guy. I'm not with this guy. And then he sat down to me next to me after this. I'm like, oh my goodness, how embarrassing. Leave this poor lady alone. I have no idea what it's even about, but it was the most embarrassing experience with him that I've ever had. Oh, well, that wasn't the most embarrassing. I had a party at my house, and Anderson came over and just started screaming at one of my guests because he was talking about flat earth or something. Like, he just started screaming. My parents are in town. I haven't seen them in forever. My parents are at my house. We're having a nice get together. And he just starts screaming at this guy. And this is a guy that just moved to his church, moved across the country to go to his church. It was like the week they moved. We had a party just welcoming him to the church and stuff. And he just started. It was a disaster. That was another experience. I'm sure there's more once I start thinking of them. I'm sure I'll let you guys know. All these NFB preachers are just carbon copies of Steven Anderson. They're literally the same. The cadence of Jonathan Shelley is identical. He laughs the same. He talks the same. He uses the same words. Don't ask him to step down. You make him step down. The congregation should definitely make him step down. If they are spoiled brats, it is your fault, Anderson. I mean, you raised him. You raised him. Yes, it's definitely your fault. Anderson is such a joyless person. I was in Verity Baptist in Sacramento for a year. I heard Anderson online and really found his sermon on Once Saved, Always Saved. And anyways, yes, so yeah, let's move on. You can read all these comments if you pause it if you want to. For adults testifying is evidence. Yes. And they are not liars. This is a hit piece. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. It is so confusing as to why CPS has not already been to Anderson's home to rescue the remaining minor children. This is completely appalling. I'm so glad the older children spoke out. At the end of the documentary, this man said, everyone that I have control over is doing fine. The word is control. As long as he has control over these people, him and his wife are demonic. Well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah. So he acts like while they were in my home, this is one of his talking points, while they were in my home, I had control over them. Oh yeah? What about Miriam? Didn't all that stuff where she ran away and she started speaking out again, didn't that happen before she supposedly left your home? She ran away from your home. Wouldn't that have out of control kids in your home? Or I guess once she runs away, she's technically not in your home anymore, and it's fine. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna, how do you stretch that? I'm sure they'll tell us. Notice how all the other pastors are carbon copies of Anderson. Literally, some mannerisms, same speech patterns, same hand gestures, everything. Everything is the same. So true. I would have liked to see the results of the lie detector test. Yeah, okay, well, you will. I don't know if I can watch the entire documentary. I'm 6 minutes in, and I have had to pause it because I feel a wave evil of anxiety wash over me. I mean, it's an intense documentary to watch. Yay, yeah, you can tell he beat his kids and is using the Bible as an excuse. Poor kids. I thought Stephen and Paul were friends. What happened? They separated quietly. Paul went back to Michigan, and Anderson made a video claiming they were still friends later. Yeah, and when he made that video, we were not friends, technically. I mean, like, we were acquaintances. We've worked together. But, when I left Phoenix, we were not on good terms. We were not talking. I mean, months before I left Phoenix, we were not good friends anymore. There was a moment, and maybe I'll explain this some other day, but there was a moment in our relationship where it shifted, where I realized that he wasn't a friend to me, where I realized that there was, and someday I think I'll tell the story, but there was a moment I went to Anderson at a personal matter and kind of laid out my heart to him. And, he listened and he said all the right things and then didn't do any of them. And then when that happened, I realized that he is just 100% using me for what he can get out of me. And I realized at that point that we were no longer friends. And then when he started attacking me because I had a different view on COVID than him, I was done with him, and he knew it. But the thing is he didn't want people to know, so that's why he made that video saying we're still friends. And because it kind of hurts the illusion of the movies when I'm against him. I remember when he loved Paul Wimber. Is there a video that points to a specific reason they broke up? Now, I wrote a statement when this all first came out. I wrote a statement about why I separated from Anderson. You can find that on my framingtheworld.com YouTube channel, or someone might have the link out there, but I wrote a whole statement of why we split up. Awesome video. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, did Miriam get her GoFundMe account money? Yes, she did. I did talk to Miriam about it. She did get her GoFundMe money. And so if you donated, she did end up getting that. Watching this makes me want to throw up. Jesus talked about child abuse. Yeah. I mean, we say that Jesus did not talk about, there is verses that talk about that. That allude to that, but I guess it doesn't specifically say stuff about child abuse. That's what the point was. I do not agree with the children airing dirty laundry of their family, regardless of their parents did. They need to honor them and move on. Yeah, okay. So someone can do you wrong, but you got to be shut up. Anderson doesn't have to shut up about anything, about anyone, but they do. Okay, whatever. I rarely hear child abuse survivors talk about how it affected them and witnesses and siblings being hurt. Being the oldest and helpless made it twice as bad. It's hard to read some of these comments. And I agree. So there is a ton more comments. I could do this all day, but those are just a few of the comments I wanted to pick out. Guys, go to the YouTube channel. It has a ridiculous amount of comments. Let me find. I think I have a screenshot of how many comments. Yeah, right here. So yeah, it's as of today, it has 106,000 views and over 2,000 comments, I believe. And then on Pastor McMurtry's channel, it has 8,446 comments or views. Sorry. And so it is blowing up, well over 100,000 views and thousands of comments for this film. So definitely the film is getting out there to people, and more people are watching it. And as we release these episodes, I do believe people are going to go back, watch them again, share them out even more. If you look at who's licensed the film, here's a list of people who have licensed the film. Xumo, Screen, IXX, Tubi, Stash, Free Documentaries, Future Today, which is Fossum, Relay. We got Rediscover Television that's also licensed the movie. A lot of people are supporting the film and carrying the film in their site. And as we go on, more people will pick up this series. One of the problems that we're having is a lot of these big platforms, they won't release a series until the whole series is done. So sometime in the future, if we get the opportunity to get it on bigger or larger platforms, we will have to remove the series from these other platforms to release it on a bigger platform. And it might be a possibility that will happen. But we've run into the problem where they have told us, like we're talking Amazon, Netflix, we have to have the whole series done before they'll even look at it or even consider it, which I totally understand, makes total sense. However, because of the way funding is, I just want to release these as soon as possible, get the message out as soon as possible. And so I'm going as quick as I can on this series to get them out there. And this is as quick as I can go, guys. I mean, this is just me doing all this work. People think I have a team, endless money. I don't know what people think, but I'm just doing it around. I have two jobs. I have a full-time job. I have a part-time job. And I have a lot of side projects I do. I have 8 children. I'm doing the series as quick as I can. support this series, support me in this project, help me get this done. It does take money to get these done. So I hope you guys support it. If not, I get it. I get it. But it's going to get done anyways. I have, and you know, the more these pastors attack me, the more it makes me want to get it done. So they're just fueling me, and everything they say can and will be used against them in a court of law. So whatever, keep speaking, keep attacking me. I will use everything you say. I appreciate you guys tuning in. That's it. It's been an hour. It's long enough for this video. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and God bless.